Now my little yard and my driveway, this was always low, and I dug this ditch thinking that was going to solve the problem, but it's still got standing water and it's still a mud hole. And this is terrible. This is what I would call my driveway. There ain't no way I'm driving my truck in here. And I thought, if you remember an older video, I thought they cleared this with a dozer, and when you do that, they push a windrow. They push a pile of dirt on both sides, and that's exactly what has happened. So this windrow, you can see it plainly right here, but you can't see it too much on the other side because it's had, I don't know, 10 years to mellow out, but it's still higher on the side than in the middle. So this is a screenshot from Google Earth of our property. It's close. The red lines are our property line. They're not exact, but they're close. And the black area is roughly where my teeny house is sitting. It's at the intersection of the main road and this haul road. And the haul road was overgrown when we got it. And the haul road was just obviously a quick and dirty path to get the trucks with the timber off the land. This was taken in 2013, shortly after they cut all the pine trees. So instead of having a road, I got a nasty ditch. And I can't do anything with it because it's too wet. So I'm just gonna have to wear rubber boots until springtime. Now clear this little area out. My plan is to put a sea can, a 20-foot sea can, shipping container, and a lean-to on the side to park my truckster, my tractor, and my other junk, be able to lock them up. But it is, it's wet, 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 wet. And when haul roads, temporary roads, get wet and soft, it's real easy to take a bulldozer and scrape off 3 or 4 inches, push it to the side, and then you're good for a day or so. And then when that gets wet, you push some more to the side. So looking at this road pretty closely, it has piles of dirt on both sides, which makes it kind of a valley. So there could be good drainage. There's good drainage through these trees. There's a major ditch back over here, and it can drain to our main road where we put those ditches in last summer. But I need dirt. Okay, this ditch, which is flowing, is natural, I think. It's more or less on the property line. Okay, again, I'm jumping back to Google Earth. The straight red line is the property line. The squiggly red line is that existing ditch that's been there a long, long time. Of course, the black square is the location of the teeny house, and the yellow is the location of this ditch I'm digging for drainage and to acquire the material. It's like a long, skinny borrow pit. Now, the cabin is back in the background, and this is that driveway. It comes through here, and it's I need to put dirt on it to raise it up. And I've started to dig it's a kind of a bar pit. It's a ditch, but I'm making it much, much wider than it needs to be. And I'm throwing the dirt behind me, throwing the dirt behind me, throwing the dirt behind me, if you want to call it dirt. It's really slop, but it's something I can do while it's wet. I can move this slop. I'll put a big old pile at the end down there. It's probably gonna be 20 yards by the time I get through, and just wait for it to dry, and then I'll have plenty of material to raise my driveway. But it's tricky, because if I come through here and start digging and throwing mud behind me, eventually I can't go back anymore. I get stuck. I got to go back out forward and go all the way back around and start double handling the dirt that's on that end to get it out the way so I can come in here again. So that's kind of what I've been doing, an hour or two a day, not killing myself, because it's going to be a long time before it dries out. But at the end of this little channel I'm digging, there's a natural ditch. It goes all the way to the power lines, and it's free flowing all the time. It's no problem. If I can get water to that ditch, I'm good. I get it out of my hair. So I was able to move mud for, I don't know, 45 minutes this morning. Got maybe 8 or 10 feet until I back up and the turntable starts hitting the bottom, because there's no support. This is all so soft. And that's when I can't go backwards. I can always go out frontwards because the bottom of this little ditch is fairly solid. So anyway, stacked up a bunch of mud. If I get 3 or 4 days of sunshine, I think it'll set enough where I can get back in here and go another 10 feet. So I'm doing a go around here. I've climbed up out the ditch. I couldn't go backwards anymore. So I'm going through the little junky trees, and we'll go around and start on the other end again. Kind of been avoiding messing with this driveway because this was one of the few spots on the whole property that had good grass. It had good strong turf, and I didn't want to mess that up. I was thinking that would get me through the winter, but it's not enough. So I went ahead and I'm doing the dirt work, and come springtime we'll go on a grass growing binge. So I'm back to the starting point where the ditch ties into my driveway. And I finally leapfrogged enough dirt behind me that I can pick it up and put it in the final pile where it's going to sit until it dries out. So this one, it just gets it in a pile, and two, it moves it out the way so I can track back in there and leapfrog some more dirt and get it closer to the final resting place. So I just moved this pile of mud to its permanent position after it's probably been leapfrogged, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. So that was a good feeling to finally get some of it where it goes. And I got the hill knocked out from in front of me. So I'm going to try to track up and continue digging and throwing behind me until I can't back up anymore. And then you have to start over. You have to go around the front and come back all the way around. Let's see if we can. Under track power, I'm not having to pull myself, which is a first. Not too worried about getting totally stuck because there's a lot of big trees around, and this track hoe pulls better while I'm stuck right now. I'm not really stuck, I just can't move forward without using the boom, which I'm gonna do. So turn the camera off. So I've moved everything to the final pile that I can reach. So now I had to track forward, and I'm gonna go ahead and track all the way to the leading end of the cut, and just start over again. Start putting stuff behind me and putting it behind me and putting it behind me until I just can't back up anymore. Then I'll have to go around the front again. It's a little frustrating, but we're making progress. So this is the track hoe I purchased. It's a Hitachi 30, which means 3 metric tons. It's a little bit smaller than the rental and the one I borrowed from my friend Dave. I think they were like 35s, which is 3.5 metric tons. The boom's a little shorter and the dipper's a little shorter, but it seems to have more power per weight. It'll pull itself through a lot more muck than the other 2 track hoes I used would be able to. Now I don't know whether it's because it has lower engine hours, it's just fresher, it has 700 hours on it, or it's just stronger for its size, but it'll go through a lot of stuff that you can't even walk through. So unlike where I got stuck with David's track hoe last summer, there's somewhat of a bottom here. I was in the bottom of a ditch there and it was just bottomless, but I don't think I'll get stuck. I came close the other day, but as long as there's big trees around and you don't get in a bind where you can't swing, you can usually get yourself out. And if I can't, I'm not too far from civilization like I was in the middle of the woods last summer. That was terrible. I'm right here by the road. We could get another tractor or a track hoe or something. Worst comes to worst case scenario. this is where I have to regroup. Digging's coming along nicely, throwing the material behind me. I'm real close to not being able to swing because of this tree right here. I've been kind of clobbering it, and I can't back up anymore because the mud situation. So what I have to do is, and I hate to do it because I mess up my ditch, but I'm gonna have to go forward and get out of here. I might try to go right through here and go back around, try to remove this overburden, and start over again. But I'm getting there, getting there. And I'm gonna have a huge pile of mud. I don't know how long it's gonna take to dry, but I'm gonna have a big pile. I'm about as deep into the mud as I care to get. I'm gonna come, I don't know, through here. I guess this is no prizes, just a bunch of junky little trees. So once again, I have excavated, thrown stuff behind me, backed up, thrown stuff behind me, backed up until I can't back up anymore. I got to go back out frontwards. So now I'm trying to turn. I'm trying to pick up and put one track forward and one track backwards, and it's kind of not really wanting to do that. But a little patience. We're gonna come out. I'm trying to turn so I can come out sideways. I don't want to keep going down the length of the ditch I'm digging. But look at, she's walking right out of there. It's a great little trico. I'm super happy with this purchase. Got to knock down some of these little trees, these little saplings, so they don't come up in the cab with me. It's a problem when you're going through the woods. You can get hurt. You can get your eye poked out if you're not careful, because these things are real springy. You put a lot of tension in them. You can't feel it. The traco's doing all the work, and all of a sudden they come loose, and bad things can happen. I'm out of the ditch, but I'm still trying to turn, trying to get heading in the direction I want to head. And these tracks have kind of made a rut, so I'm trying to get out of that rut and get pointed in the right direction. I didn't bring my sight level, but I think I'm going uphill here. I want to come back and take out another 6 inches of this last part. Make sure I'm low enough. And I'm going to drop this piece of plastic pipe across this road. And I'm going to put a hump right here so that all the water that's coming from my left will no longer head toward my teeny house. It will go that way to the natural ditch and out to the power line servitude. But first, I think I'm coming uphill too much. I'm gonna get back in there, and it's pretty hard, so no problem. I'll take out another 6 inches or so. So I brought my old laser level today. I got it set up, and it's spinning. I forgot my tripod, but it doesn't care. It's sitting on this table just fine. I'm gonna shoot the invert of the ditch that I just dug, or I guess the invert of the pipe on the right side of the drive, and shoot along here and see how far can I dig a ditch and get the water to go back, which is kind of uphill, but away from my driveway and away from my yard. The more water I can get to go back that way, the less water I have to deal with in this area, which is just super flat. So take a couple of shots with the laser level. Let's see what we got. Okay, a little disappointing. Where I am here, I am lower than the bottom of my ditch. So I can't get the water to go back that way, at least from here. Now, if I go to here, I am about 3 inches lower than the bottom of the ditch. So I can probably sort of make that work. And here, okay, so here, this right where my foot is roughly the bottom of my ditch over there. So I'm gonna go from here to there, clean this out, put the dirt on this side, hopefully get the water to drain into the ditch, across the pipe, and out the natural ditch all the way to the power lines. Now everything from my ditch going that way, which is a long ways, will no longer drain into my yard. It's gonna go through the new ditch down the power lines. But yeah, I was hoping this would be a little bit higher so that it could drain that way, but it can't. It's got to drain to the front. So we'll deal with that next. But okay, so I dug a ditch and I put the dirt on the road so that when it does dry out and I can get the tractor and compact it, I think I'll have a good little crown to the road. It should drain to the ditch, and it should drain back that way, more or less. This is about as far as I can go. But now, if I continue the ditch, which I'm gonna do, and throw the dirt into my slop hole here, and there's a lot of dirt here from the windrow from the dozer from 15 years ago. And continue this ditch around the perimeter of my little clearing to that back corner. There's a good foot fall from where that little seed spreader is to where I stopped digging. So I can just keep digging and keep putting dirt on the road. And it's not gonna solve all this problem, but it should take the water that's coming down this hill and dumping by my teeny house and put it through the woods. And unfortunately right now it's gonna go through the woods and come back out on the other side of my teeny house, but that's gonna be remedied. So yeah, onward. The southwest corner of where I'm going to put my barn, and I'm digging back into the trees a little bit where there was an existing drainage area, and it was I know I keep saying this, that everything's muddy, but it was like that soupy green slimy mud, and I didn't have a choice but to bring it out and add it to my mud. So I didn't make the mud situation any better, but I did open up a place for perimeter ditch around my future barn area. Now the water has a place to go, so it will get no worse and should get better from here on out. So this is my future barn area, storage area, and the camera's from sitting on the backside looking back toward the driveway. And I dug a little swale ditch around the 3 sides. I put the stuff in the middle, and because this water's been kind of sitting, it's very mucky. Right now I'm just kind of trying to crown the material so it'll shed water so we can start the drying process. Now that the water has somewhere to go, it should get better, or much better. Whereas when we first pulled all the trees up, you just end up with broken up ground with so many holes from where you pull the trees, and then Traco wouldn't go through it. It kept getting stuck, so yeah, I kind of had to leave it, and that was probably a mistake because all that water just went straight in the ground. So now I got a lot of mud. It will dry out. It does drain now, and I'm trying to crown it into a big hill so it'll drain even better. Through the fog. So cut a little ditch down the side of the road from the high point back yonder. Put the dirt on the road. It's all very wet, but it should drain a little better now, so it shouldn't get any wetter. And I brought this little ditch around the back of where I plan to put like a little, either a barn or a sea can with a lean-to, and I dug it back into the pine trees where there's a natural low spot. Now this stuff is super sloppy wet, and it will be a long time before I can do anything with it. But dirt's very patient. It'll wait on me. Now I'm going to set the instrument up over here, and I'm thinking about digging a ditch down the side where the little red four-wheeler is, and around behind where I'm going to put my water tank. And if anybody's ever going to do this and you think, well, I'm going to get rid of the stumps later, it's a bad call. I should have got rid of these stumps last summer before I set the teeny house. I didn't realize how problematic they were going to be. Anyway, I'm going to come back kind of through here where this stack of lumber is, connect this ditch to that ditch, and then try to put some dirt in here because I got a 250-gallon water tank that I'm going to set here to replace my little 35-gallon tank. So I need a little pad. I've got some dry dirt in the back. And if I need to, I can walk the track across the street and dig a hole and get some dry dirt there. Yeah, and I got to move this lumber for like the 5th time. So after I don't know how many years of doing this, I learned how to take a screenshot and mark it up. So this is pretty exciting. So I hope this will help clear things up. Of course, the red straight line is the property line. The yellow squiggly line is that natural ditch. The green rectangle is the ditch I just dug. And there's a dark purple coming off of that. That's the pipe I put across the logging road, which is now my driveway. The pink is where the water now goes. A lot of it from the north goes down the green ditch. A little bit of it from the south goes upstream to the purple pipe. And a lot of it goes downstream behind the blue square, which is my little future barn. And unfortunately, it goes through the trees and comes right back at the teeny house. But that will be remedied when I can get over there and dig the orange ditch to get the water off of me. So that's where we stand as of now. Winter has kind of caught me with my pants down, so to speak. I knew I had drainage problems back here, but I have a big stump right here and a big stump right here and a stump right there. And my plan was in the spring, there's another one there. When it dries out a little bit, I'm going to get these stumps out and I'm going to reroute like a ditch, like behind my lumber pile and going way around so I can fill this all in. It's real low. I didn't want to put dirt in here knowing I was going to have to take the stump out. So this is not that bad. I can deal with this. And I knew water trickled out of the woods because that's what made my pad, my dirt pad under the tiny house, so muddy. It was a steady little stream in the summertime of water coming right and mixing with that loose dirt. So, but it was such a little bit. But this winter, since I guess the trees are dormant and we get more rain, less sunshine, this is a steady stream. It doesn't stop. This water runs 24/7. And then when we get a hard rain, it comes through the woods so fast that it's washing up under the house and around my concrete supports. It's going to wash the foundation out from under my house. So I can't do anything now. It's too wet. I can't get my hoe in here. I can't do anything. So I put this little wall up just now, try to divert some of this. But when it dries, I think I'm going to just dig a ditch through the woods with the track hoe, maybe 30 feet back, and just divert this drainage out to my ditch by the road. Now, the good news is our roads have held up very well, because when we first bought the property, you couldn't drive down the road and you couldn't hardly walk down it. Everything was underwater. But I dug ditches on both sides, used that material to build the road up. And even today, it's a very wet day. No trouble getting my truck back here. So the roads are good. So months ago, I guess 9 months ago, when I had the rental hoe, I kind of pawed at this stump. Didn't get very far, but it's really in the way and messing with my program. So I'm gonna try it again, even though my current track hoe is smaller, lighter. The dipper and the boom are a little shorter. It seems to be pretty powerful. So I'm gonna get over here and try it again. I would love to get this thing removed and get some dry dirt and fill in this for the water tank, which I have at home. Now this is pretty funny. I'm pawing at the top of this stump thinking I'm gonna flip it up out the ground. That's so far from reality. It's yeah, it's funny. Ended up having to dig deep. One mistake I made, I
I didn't dig deep enough on the back side of the stump, on the camera side of the stump, and then when I backed up to dig on the other side, I could no longer get back. So that was a mistake I made. I had to work around that. Wasn't the end of the world. It would have been easier if I would have gone ahead and dug deeper while I was in this position.
Boy, I got myself in a mess now. This thing is huge. And I've got a huge hole right next to my foundation, which I'm not too crazy about. But we've got to get it out past the point of no return. Ooh, I'm not happy about this at all. I've dug a huge hole. The thing's still pretty rigid. It's moving a little bit. Just really close to the house. Whew. Getting an anxiety attack here. But I got to stop and put some fuel in the machine, because I certainly don't want to run out right now. So I got down in here with a shovel, try to figure out what was going on. I cut a big vertical root with the handsaw. Whew, smaller one on the other side. I cut this root with the handsaw. And I cut this root down here with the handsaw. Could this be it? Could this be the last big one? I think it is. I pretty much ruined my saw cutting through the dirt, but I got to cut this one last one, and I think maybe it'll come out. It's getting wigglier all the time. Well, that wasn't it. I had already cut that one. It just fell out when I made the cut. This is it. Right there. This is it. I don't know. If I had my chainsaw, I sure would sacrifice a blade real quick, but maybe I can cut part of it with the handsaw and then break it with the track hoe. I don't know, shit. I got that bad boy. It took me a lot longer than I thought, and I had to dig a much bigger hole than I thought, but I got it. Now I need to fill in this hole as best I can and compact it as best I can. It's never as good as undisturbed soil, but if I put some surcharge on it, hopefully it won't settle much. All right, Mr. Luke feels better now. I got the hole maybe 2/3 filled. I'm gonna go get my son's tractor and try to find some dry dirt so I can fill it with dry dirt and not the slop, because I want to put the water tank down on here next time I come. So I'm gonna try to get some dry dirt. Stump is gone. 2 trees are down. Try to make some room. The stump hole is filled with good dry material, and this slop is just on the top. So this will gradually dry out. So I'm gonna put my tank right back there and some kind of walkway to keep my feet out the mud. Ooh, I moved a lot of mud today. When you're on the little machine and you engage the drive and it moves and it scares you, that means you spent too many hours in the mud. I spent a bunch of hours in the mud today where I wasn't moving unless I was pulling, but I made some progress and I think it's gonna help. I dug a little ditch down the side of the road, threw the dirt on top, try to get some elevation gain. At least the road will drain into the ditch. I don't know if the ditch will drain. I dug a ditch around this future storage area and off into the trees, because that's kind of the natural lay of the land over here. This is super sloppy, but in a month or so it ought to set up, and I wasn't planning on doing anything here till summer. And then I started a new ditch. They're not tied together because I don't want all the water from way down there coming down by my teeny house. So this is a separate ditch. Took the slop, put it on the road, raised it up, and I pulled this little stump out, which took me a couple of hours. Pretty stressful for the old man. And I brought in some dirt with my son's little tractor, which is it's not the most efficient thing in the world. It's kind of small for doing this. It wants to get stuck. But I got this semi-leveled out back here. I got the ditch moved away from the teeny house further, and I'm gonna lay down some treated 2x10s in a crisscross pattern and set the water tank on that maybe next time I come. As long as I have it ready. I don't want to come out here and work on the water tank here. I want to do it at home. So I think this is a good time to end this video. Thanks for watching. It's a beautiful day today. Tomorrow's supposed to start raining again. 2 days of rain and then 3 days of sun. So that's winter time around here. A lot of rain. Okay. Thanks for watching.